dignitaries on the dais, off the dais. I was listening to all the talks very carefully. When we are talking about new education policy, there is huge emphasis on innovation. And as a result, while the policy was getting formulated itself, ministry felt that we should have an innovation cell and we should have a chief innovation officer. I don't think how many of our private organizations also have chief innovation officer. Now we have chief innovation officer with Government of India. And through our sustained efforts, we are doing multiple initiatives. We are taking multiple policy level initiatives to ensure that we promote innovation, we promote entrepreneurship within our educational institutes. Innovation, entrepreneurship have become buzzwords. And everyone sitting on the forum and multiple dioceses actually speak about them, throw those words randomly. But I would like to actually take this opportunity to actually bring to your notice that now innovation is a necessity. And it is a necessity for survival. I don't know how many of you are thinking on these lines, but I would like to put your scenario in front of you, which I believe is going to be reality in next 5 to 8 years. We are all talking about gig economy. I don't know how many of you have heard of gig economy, but yes. The world is moving in the direction of gig economy. When we are talking about gig economy means what? Companies, organizations are not going to hire full-time employees. It will be contractual on project by project basis. Like you see in film industries. You have to make a movie. You bring in directors, you bring in producers, you bring in artists, you bring in all technicians. You make a movie, you have the work on that project, and eventually, people after the project is done, people disperse. This is going to happen in tech industry also. And we have to ask ourselves that whether our generation is ready for these kind of challenges. Apart from this gig economy, another factor which is really going to disrupt this entire sector or this coming, what we can say, generation, is the lifespan of our kids. The millennial kids who are born after 2000 are going to live for 85, 90, 95 years. And if you have to live till 95 years, and you have to support yourself, and there is no pensions or social security which is there, you have to work till 75. So, a student gets graduated or graduates at 22, 23. And then for next 50 years, he has to work. Minimum 50 years. That is the reality, which is going to happen. Now understand, or now intertwine these two scenarios, where a gig economy is present or is prevalent, and then a person has to work and remain relevant for 50 years. And in this case, now we have to ask ourselves that whether our educational institutes are ready. Once Bill Gates said that we will require banking, but we may not require banks. The same question is now relevant here. We will require education, but we may not require educational institutes in the current format. So are we actually asking ourselves that what is the shape or what is the design of an educational institute maybe 25 years from now, maybe 30 years from now? Have we started working in that direction? Because when Syed ji was talking about MOOCs and all these things, yes, now knowledge is available almost for free. You have YouTube, you have Coursera's, you have Swayam, and there will be other such zillion platforms. So why a student should go to college for getting education? I was talking to few youngsters few days back. And when I actually discussed this scenario in front of them, they said, degree will be the last priority for them to go to an educational institution. Currently, degree is the primary priority, right? But eventually it will happen that degree will be the last priority. And they will only go to educational institutions to get the experience for camaraderie, to sit in canteens, to chat, because they believe that through Coursera or other courses, they will be able to get the skills which are required. And now, the hiring pattern getting changed, maybe as part of gig economy, or even now, Google has started hiring people just based on skills. I don't care whether you are 10th pass or a 12th pass. If you know cybersecurity well, I'm going to hire you. Same thing is going to happen in other tech industries also. So we have to ask question that are we really ready for these kind of changes? Are we internally really debating about these kind of scenarios? And from that perspective, continuously we have to evolve. Continuously we have to think out of box. Continuously we have to be creative. And we have to teach our students in that direction. Or we have to take them in that direction. But unfortunately, currently due to our swallow and vomit kind of an education system, majority of our educational institutions are chasing marks, are chasing grades, are changing placements. But hardly any one of them are chasing ideas. Recently we did a study where we compared, Stanford did it for us, where we compared our engineers from China and Russia. And we saw that the problem-solving skills of our students is far below par as compared to international standards. If you ask them a definition, they will tell you like a parrot. But you ask them to implement that definition and solve a problem, they start faltering. So we have to actually teach our youngsters to emerge as problem solvers. And from that perspective, we had National Innovation and Startup Policy, which we implemented in 2019. We launched it. The reason was that there was no clarity on who owns the IP. What should be the revenue sharing model? What should be equity sharing model? I will give you a small example. It's a very funny example. I met a boy in a very, very prestigious institute. And he started his small e-commerce platform about 4 or 5 years back and made something like 25,000-30,000 rupees only, not more than that. Huh? And he used to work in evening in his hostel on that e-platform. When the director of that institute came to know that such a boy has started such a small platform and have started making money, the director called and said, where is institute's share? Where is institute's revenue? He said, why? This is my business. Director said, wrong. The IP of your business belongs to us. He said, why? I have not used any of your institute's infrastructure. Director said, wrong. You have used hostel's internet. So, IP belongs to us. And you have to give revenue share. When I looked at revenue sharing policies of many of our organizations, I was aghast. Institutes were asking for revenue share as 50%, 60%. अगर 50-60% इंस्टीट्यूट निकाल लेगा, 30% इनकम टैक्स निकाल लेगा, तो बचता क्या है? Why someone will get motivated? So we actually got that policy. We said no more than 20%. If you want equity, not more than 9.5%. And now I'm very happy that more than 3,000 institutions have started adopting that policy. In next 2 days, we are going to have a similar policy even for schools. Because we want to promote innovation and entrepreneurship mindset right from the school level. We are also introducing design thinking at school from 6th standard. India is the first country to do that. Many of you may think, what is design thinking? Design thinking is not about design. Design thinking is how to think, how to identify a problem, how to visualize a solution. So that if we can teach our kids to work in that direction, then we will able to nurture their creativity. We will able to nurture their out-of-box thinking. We have already released the books. CBSE books are in domain for 6th standard. We are currently working on 7th standard, 8th standard, and we will be more than happy to explore how we can collaborate. Because we have to work with states more. The major chunk of population or major chunk of students in schooling are in states. And there we have to collaborate. There we have to work together. Apart from that, I will request you all to focus on IP creation. Another extremely important component. I don't know how many of you are aware, but China, on an annual basis, files 15 lakh patents. 15 lakh patents. US is already half, 6.5 lakh. And India is 55,000 only. Out of which, except last year, which has now increased, more than 60% of the patents were filed by NRI or non-resident. Out of those 55,000, we have 50,000 plus educational institutes of higher learning. The number of patents are 3,000, 3,500. We can safely say that more than 90% of your institutions have never filed an IP ever. So this needs to change. Because if we don't actually generate IP, which is not only just relevant for the country, but will also have global impact, we will never able to achieve the $5 trillion economy goal, which is right now in front of us, and eventually $10 trillion. We will never able to achieve that. And if you have to really emerge as Jagat Gurus or whatever kind of terminology we would like to use, then we have to generate ideas and ensure that India evolves as global innovation and entrepreneur hub. So thanks for giving me opportunity. I sincerely appreciate, and I wish you all great luck.